Okay, we continue with Reishis Chochma, Luk Me Shchinta Min Galusa, Luk Me Shchinta Me Afra, Ube Nivkum Gusa Barachamin. Let's see, another one. Bum, 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 bum. Is this it? No, here it is. Here we are, Shara Yira. All right, we're going to start again from, the Zohar, because we had a long break. The Zohar that he wants to unpack. So in Sif Chaf Dalid, in Shara Yira, in addition, I'm using, he brings a Zohar, and in Sif Chaf Hey, he wants to unpack what it means. So let's just start from Sif Chaf Dalid again. The ideas that we left down, let down, and, laid down in the, right, in the previous entries about how the name Yud K Vav K is encoded in each and everything. Because as a simon that the name Yud K Vav K, which is the Ein Sof, which is Rebosham's call it his Ratzon, Ratzon's Gematria Shmo, right? Because that's what we know about God. We know him by name. We know his Ratzon. We don't know his ad. And when we talk about the Ein Sof, we're talking about Ratzono. As we said many times in Kamo, we never talk about Atzmuso Yisbarach because we don't talk about things that we know nothing about. That would be good advice for a lot of people. Please don't talk about things you know nothing about. Okay, so now after laying down the Yesodus of how the name Yud K Vav K is encoded in everything, so now he wants to go back and unpack the Zohar that he opened up with. So he recaps the Zohar over here. Vina goes with Rab Psuki, Baruch Shem Lachem, Parsha Zohar, Zohar, Parsha Lechem, Mamash, the Parsha we just read, Zohar over there, and Parsha Lechem, on the Psukim, I think it's in Tehillim Kuf Gimel. So Baruch Shem Malachav. Pirsha Shem Malachim Tzadik is Oshoro, so now Baruch Hashem Malachav, his angels, Zohar says, is to be understood, not Kipshuto, that it's the angels. I know how Pipshat it is the angels, and there are drushes to that effect in the Gemara and Shabbos, that the angels are Magdim, Nasev, and Ishma, but Baruch Hashem Malachav also means the Tzadikim. These are the tzaddikim on earth. The tzaddikim on earth are as dear and chashuv to HaKadosh Baruch Hu like the heavenly angels in Shamayim. Because the tzaddikim on earth are giborei koch. The misgabri, in what way are they giborei koch? This is a good message to teach people. In what way are we giborei koch? The misgabri yitzon gibor tav the misgaber sane that we they're giborei koch, mighty power, warriors of power, right? Mighty of power, because we're misgaber on the Yetzer, like a good gibor is misgaber over his enemy. This is a message needs to get out. Singing and dancing that you want to do anyway and makes you feel good. That's not being misgaber of the Yetzer. You're not really participating. Soldiers should sing and dance to raise their morale because they're putting their lives on the line. And I guess the chesed workers should dance with them because the soldiers deserve it. Right? They need to lift their morale. But a guy on Central Avenue, what did you do, Fresser? All you ate and drank today, and you went from one taiva to another. You want to participate in the milchama, so you could participate in the milchama by doing your own milchama, being misgaber, doing milchemes hayetzer. A real message for the Yidden of this day and age. The milchemes hayetzer is just not in. We cut deals with the Yetzer Hara. Well, if Am Yisrael's bil milchama, everyone could participate. The enemies of Am Yisrael get their koach from the Sitra Achra, right? That's where they get their koach from. So I could fight the Sitra Achra. I could fight the Sitra Achra that's in me. Fight my Yetzer Hara. And that's how I'm participating in the milchama in a ruchnistic way, right? I am cutting off the source of strength that fuels the enemies of Am Yisrael, because they get their strength in the Sitra Achra. If I defeat the Sitra Achra, right, then I'm cutting off the supply lines of, all the humanitarian aid from Egypt, is not going to help them if we do Milchemes Hayetzer, and we cut off the real lifeline of their koach. Okay, so, so Tzikim on earth, the tzaddik actually fights his Yetzer, doesn't find heterim why your Yitzorim and your Taivas are good. Okay, but just don't get me started right now. I've blasted the bozos enough. Maybe not enough, but not now. Okay, so these are the Gibor of the Mitzvah Yitzron, Kigur Kalvis Gabazari. They are the mighty of power. They are like the good warrior that overcomes his enemy. The Shmuel Kadra, they hear the sound of Hashem's word. The Zoche B'chol Yalishma Kol Me'el B'Shait Tzilo. They Zoche, they hear, a sound from heaven when they need to. Akal Shalin Yanedu. All right, which I guess it means that I really have to try this. Maybe I'm not fighting my Yitzhar enough. Definitely not fighting my Yitzhar enough. What am I talking about? All right, because if you're first really Mizgar, if he ever is confused what to do in life, he'll hear a sound from heaven, or he'll get a heavenly message. Nice. So now Vine Noda. So it's well known from the Hagdamas Tikunei Zohar. Well known. The Neshos Sigim are carved out from under the Kisgod. That's the level of that we call Neshama per se, is carved out from the Kisei HaKavod. Right, so the Shorish Hanashama is from the Olam Atzilus, which is besod the Dmus Adam Malakise. That's the Shorish Hanashama. The Sham per se is carved out for the Shama is the Olam Abrio. That's where the Olam Akise is. Right, so so it's parallel to the Olam Akise, which is Olam Abria. That from there come the Neshamas, mean the Neshama, the level of neshama that's called neshama per se. Omar says, Baruch Hashem Malachav, bless Hashem Malachav, his angels. Yitzeh Hashem Shichu Shefa v'Bracha Shumakar Bracha. That the bless Hashem, his angels, so as to why give a bracha. I mean, this Nefesh Chaim talks about this extensively in Sharbez. That his big thesis of there is Baruch's blush and ribui. Increase the shefa. That's why brachas are important. Brachas are increase the shefa in the world, so that the bria should not only not get depleted, but it should even increase. Right. So that's Shem Shimimeno Shefo Bracha, Shumakara Bracha. It's a Baruch Hashem because he's the Makara Bracha. Bless him. So he who's the Makara Bracha, you'll be Moshech Bracha from the Makara Bracha. And there's also the Tikunei Zor, Tikun Yudches. Yud Kei Vav Kei Nikra Baruch. Hashem himself is called Baruch, the name Yud Kei Vav Kei, because it is Makar HaBracha. It is Makar HaBracha, right? It's the Ein Sof that we speak about. So Malachav Shem Neshama Tzadikim, so Malachav the Neshama Tzadikim Shenivru Aidei Yud Kei Vav. They were created with the name Yud Kei Vav Kei. The name Yud Kei Vav Kei is also the seal on the divine throne. Komro Kol Nikra Bishmi, it's called by my name, Shmi, L'chvodi Brasiv, for my glory I created it. Right? Created it. L'chvodi Brasiv, that's Olam Abriya. I don't think he used the word, but he's alluding to over here. Brasiv is Olam Abriya, as opposed to L'chvodi Brasiv, Yitzartiv Af Asisiv, right? So it's Brasiv, Yitzartiv Asiv. Okay, Chosa Mashlishi. But there's a third chosam, right? That's sealed in the angels per se. So the Baruch Hashem Kol Tzov V'Shar Say Osei Ritzon Hashem Malachim. That is, bless Hashem, all his multitudes, his servants that do his will. Zedorah is talking about the angels per se, and Echanami, Kayadua. That Bria Yitzir Nasir are connected Kisei Malachim Galgalim. Kisei HaKavod per se, there's something like it in every world, but the magic of Kisei HaKavod per se is in Olam Abriya. The Ikar Makam of Malachim is Olam HaYitzira, right? And the Ikar Makam of the Galgalim, the constellations, the stars and all, that's the Olam HaAsiyah, right? So now, I guess Chosam Ashlishi, I'm going to take a guess over here. He means, there's Atzilus, Bria is the second, and that's why Am Yisrael, the Neshama Yisrael are higher than the Malachim, because the Ikar Madrega of Malachim, their Ikar Madrega is in Olam HaYitzira, which is connected our ruach. This fits, overlaps with what we just learned in Mulefes Sapirim, today. So the ruach is from Yitzira, and that's, but we have a neshama from Bria. It's even higher than where the malachim per se are. So connected to Chochma Shishas, if Atzilus, of course, Atzilus is the olam. It's the olam of Shemois of Shakadosh Baruch Hu solely and only. So Atzilus is Shmo, right? So that's why Kol Shmi L'chvodi Barasiv too. So Atzilus Bria Yitzartiv. That's Mach. That's the Chochma Shlishi, right? And after Baruch, that's sealed Machim on Baruch called Svav, that's it's because we said already that somehow the name Yud-Kei Vav-Kei is Marumas somehow encoded somehow in every Malach and Malach. Right? So regarding that, connected the Olam Ha'atzir, the Olam HaMalach, Baruch Hashem called Svav, Meroshav, also Son, Hashem Malachim, Hashem, all his multitudes, his sons that do that. Hashem, that pasuk is talking about the angels as we know them. And of course, they are ruchni and they're above without any Yetzirah. They don't have a Yetzirah. That's why they're so good at what they do, because they don't have a Yetzirah slowing them down. That's why they're Osei Ritzonim, shorts of Osei Ritzonim. They don't have a Yetzirah to stop them. V'amar, but then the pasuk goes on. Baruch Hashem, bless Hashem. Again, Yud Kevai, Shashem Yud Kevai, Shal Yodo Nivru. They should, draw from the name Yud Kei Vav Kei, that from which they were created. Kirushu B'Mar, like we explained, in all the Mamrei Zor, through all the Mamrei Zor that we quoted before. So Baruch Hashem Komas, but then after bless Hashem, all is Maisim, Asiya. Who created Chol Samaravi? That's the fourth seal, which is Olam HaAsiya. Baruch Hashem Kol Ma'asav, Olam HaAsiya. And this is like we said, is sealed in the world of Galgalim. The Olam HaAsiya is the universe that contains, the cosmos as we know it. Space, the galaxies. Olam HaGalgalim. We have the 12 mazos, and the Shiva Kochveh, the 7 Kochveh Leches, back then they thought the solar system, they call it the Earth system in Ptolemaic astronomy. Everything revolved, geocentric model, everything revolved around the Earth. So they thought that they saw 7 stars. They weren't aware of, now I think they say there's 9. All right, 9 in the solar system. There's 7 in there there's 7 that from our perspective are rotating around Earth. Right, also in all the stars and all the lower creations. They also are sealed with the name Yud Kei Vav Kei. Like it was said in the Raimimna that we copied down back in Oischav Beis. The last period, the low Rashim Bashua, there's no creature. It's not somehow. It doesn't have the name Yud Kei Vav Kei encoded in it. Va'amar. And then, but the pasuk is like b'chol makos memshalto, not just kol masa, but b'chol makos memshalto, right? All the places where Hashem rules. Shaloi taimar, that you shouldn't say terach baruch harimel yadim shimatz be'em yud kei vav kei. I understand how the heavenly spiritual creatures, of course, yud kei vav kei, because they have no yetzar, they're pure, they're spiritual. But the lower, physical creations, how can they bless Yud Kei Vav Kei? That's what it says. B'chol mekomos memshalto, in all the places where Hashem reigns. Yirtzeh, that means because God reigns over everything equally. Is there a place where God's not in control? He reigns over the low ones even as much as he, right. He reigns over the low ones just like bless my soul, Hashem, even though my nefesh, meduik, nefesh, which is mamash in a guf. It nefesh called shutfa the gufa. So nefesh, even where it's from, is from Asiya, but then it goes from the ruchnius of Asiya. Like we explained, that's so nice with the mulefes saprim we just learned. So nefesh is from the pnimius of Asiya, but then it goes out lachut into a goof that's with a Yetzar, then Baruch Nafshi Hashem, when I realize Hashem is everywhere. Nefesh Mamash, not just he's being kind. It's in the chitzonius of the Asiya in a goof that's schmutzik with a Yetzahara, right? But still, it's B'chol Makomos Memshalto. So by the way, that's, it could be he's going to say this in the next piece. I'm jumping the gun, but I don't care. It's my video. Do what I want. That's I do it. The difference between melucha and memshala. What's the difference between melucha is when we serve akashu b'bchira. A melech is nivchar. He's nimshach, right? He's anointed. A Moshe he's a dictator. So now Kadosh Baruch Hu, when we want to be mamlech him and serve him b'das u'beratzon, he's a melech. So now people that don't, things like the chitzonim, the kochos hatuma, that don't want to serve him, so he said, he's still Moshel Alam, so that he's not their melech because they don't want to be mamlechet, they don't want to pledge allegiance to him, right? So he's Moshel over there, right? And that's just, and therefore, dog petition. Whenever it's talking about memshal, it's talking about where there's ra, the ra that's married against the kashrut. Over there, the kashrut is Moshel, right? Moshel. That's what the Shloss says, in his Pirush Hasidur on Yomra Hashem Elokeso Melech, Umalchuso, the Malchus is Bakol Mashallah is Lirabos the Chitzonim. It says so on them. So the Malchus, which is the Shechina always rules, right? Even when Shchinta Begalusa, so it's like the Ramchal says. Esther Beis Achashverosh was a remez, to Shchinta Begalusa. She's in Beis Achashverosh, but she's controlling, she's manipulating. It's like the guy, the prisoner that he knows how to manipulate everything that goes on in the jail, and in the warden also. He's got schmutz on the warden. He knows how to manipulate the warden. He can blackmail the warden. So he runs from the jail. He runs even when Shchinta Begalusa, Rahman al-Tzan, like Kayom Hazeh, right? The Shechina always, but since it's manipulating people that don't want to be makir, the Malchus, so it's Bakol Mashal, it's Moshel. Esther was Moshel on Achashverosh and on Haman, right? The Malchus of Bachol Mashala is the Rabos, the Chitzonim, and the Klippas and the Kochos Hara, and that's what Malchus Kolamim Umemshaltcha Bachol Dor Vador, even if it's a door that's married against Hakadosh Baruch Hu, like Dor Amabu. Dora Flaga, Memshaltecha b'chol Dor v'Dor. Even on these doros that Chas Shom are married against Hakadosh Baruch Hu. So that's what the Baruch Shem b'chol mekomos memshalto. Shtim so nice what he's saying. Even in places where there's Ra, right? But Baruch still Moshel, still over there. He's Moshel. B'chol Baruch Hu says Baruch Nafshi Hashem, and if so, Baruch Nafshi, even though my nefesh is stuck in a goof. It's shitufa the gufa, muluchlach with the Yetzara. Still, can be mevarach es Hashem, has a shaychus to the name Yudke Vavke, right? V'oid yirtzeh. So now another pshat b'chol makomos memshalto shecharo miyutar. I say it's added because we already mentioned allusions to Bria Yitzira Asiya, right? Which is where the Nefradim are. Olam Atzilus is called Nikra B'Shmi Gufa, is where the shame itself is, right? So after we mention all the Olamas where there are Nivroim, Noitzrim, and Naasim, so Pshir Chomos Shalto, right? So if all these things were created by God, so all of this is Makomos B'Shalto. Ela Inyanu L'Rabos Masha Bein Olam LaOlam. So he says Makomos B'Shalto is to include, as it were, the twilight zones between each and every olam. So Gemara says in Chagiga, takes 500 years to get from the earth to the Rakia. Of course, the Chamesh Rasham is not Shonim as we know them. It's all Muramis to Ruchnis to Madregas, right? Between every Rakia and Rakia, there's 500 years. Mahalach Chamesh Rasham. Well, that's even Ben Rakil, which are all part, the Shiva Rakim are part of Olam Asiyah. The Shiva Rakim are all here in Olam Asiyah. And that's also Ben Asiyah Liyitzira, right? And Ben Yitzira Libria. The less that even in these twilight zones, there is nothing, there's no emptiness from HaKadosh. Even though these like zones, they're like, just transitional between Olam and Olam. HaKadosh was there also. right? Unless us are put in, there's no place that that is void, that is empty from the name Yud Kei Vav Kei. It's everywhere. Not there's no place vacant of it. Empty of it in the above and not below. It's a that is another aspect of the memshala that the governance that we attribute to the name Yud Kei Vav Kei. That aside from the fact that his reign, his governance spreads in all the olamas and all the lower creations, kulam chasoim b'chosamo, they are all sealed with his seal. This is what Moshe Rabbeinu says. You should know, and you should make it settle in your heart. Ki Havaya Elokim Hashem Yud Kei Vav Kei is Elokim, right? Bashamayim mimal v'aretz in heaven above and the earth below. There is none other. Hakora fi Apshap Omer Hu Elokim. Now, what do we mean? Hashem is Lord. He is Havaya Elokim. So the simple pshat is Lashon Takif Shod Al Kol Ki Kol Elokim Elohim Lashon Chozek means that he is the God that is strong and reigns over all, because Elohim, I'm saying B'Lashon Chol, is anyone who has power. That's why Dayanim are called Elohim. That's why Malachim are called Elohim. Anyone Choshev is called Hinei Samticha Elohim Leparo. You're going to be the strong guy that pushes him around, right? Right. The root of Elohim is Lashon El, which is strength, right? Lashon Chozek, Elei Aretz, right? The mighty ones of the earth. Bashamayim Bimal, heaven above, Rabba Kol Mitzvos Olam Yonim, Riba Kol Mitzvos Olam Zolim. Of course, this includes the Mitzvos Olam Yonim until the highest places. Vaydo Mimal, from above. The lema b'shamayim mival, right. So b'shamayim mimal is that not just in this heaven, in all heavens. B'shamayim me'al, even above heaven as you know it, without going up and up without limit. Right. Val oretz haynu mashu ben shamayim loretz, and now vit ala oretz haynu mashu ben shamayim loretz, is what's on top of the earth, meaning what's in between shamayim and oretz. The ala oretz, the neutral zone between heaven and earth, right? Umash ben oretz la'oretz, right? And even also there's different levels of earth, right? Vainu va'al oretz stam, and above the earth stam mitachas, and beneath the earth. Rabba shisha aratzos, there's like 6 lands, like whatever, spiritually speaking, I don't know. There's like 6 lands that spiritually speaking, there's 7 lands really, and there's 6 lands beneath it, so even though to us it all looks like one flat earth, spiritually speaking, there are aratzos on different levels. The Zohar talks about arka, some like bottom earth, I guess, middle earth, it's like using from J.R.R. Tolkien, The Hobbit. Will be a good mushal that such things exist spiritually. It's a place called Arka, not Ara, Arka, right? Like lower earth. So it's like 6 earths beneath Eretz Yisrael. And all the creatures that are there. Right? They're all there. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the one power that facilitates even the highest things and even the lowest things, right? Right. That it's actually Sheva Ratzos. Shara, I think so I think it's talking about spiritual levels, but we do have a concept, at least in the Zohar, talks about Arka. There's like a lower earth also. Everywhere. Einod. Right. Okay. So now we learn that the HaKadosh reign is absolute. That's all true. It's the name Yud Kei Vav Kei. It's everywhere. In every madrega and between every madrega. Now, of course, that reign that we attribute to Yud Kei Vav Kei, of course, that reign belongs to the Ilas Kol Ilos, Atzmus Yisbarach, that's above it, that he's the one who projected that shame and holds that shame together. Like we said, that we have to fear God's governance. Also even the governance of Yud Kei Vav Kei, there's the Baal Hashem. That's the source of it, right? The shame is not supposed to be a chas v'shalom, a different God. It's a representation of the Ilas Kolis. It represents him, and that's how we know him. But of course, remember that behind the shame is the Baal Hashem, right? That's that projected the name and makes the name. Moshe Yira the Ikra the Yira, that's the main Ikra, is the Mitchel Mara. We have to fear our master. Begin the Rav Shon. He is the powerful and the one that reigns. Ikar, he is the main thing. That his light spreads in Olam. Like we say in the Tikkun Zohar, V'yas Al Kol, and he who is the cause of all, creator of all, who Nahar Ba'asar Spheres, that he shines in the Esther spheres of Atzilus, who Esther spheres the Bria, Vinar Ba'asar Kitos Maga, and then the Esther spheres, that's the 10 categories of angels, right? There are 10 categories of angels parallel to the Esther spheres of Yetzirah. And this again, the Malachaya is connected to Olam HaYetzirah. You see the perfect parallel. And this stems nicely with what the Rambam writes. There's a lot of people point out, it seems another writer, Rambam may have had bits and pieces of the Zohar, that the Rambam decided there are 10 types of angels. He divides it to 10 madregas, and it's Esther Kitos the Malachaya. Ubasar Galgal Rakia, and Zohar, look, prophetically says there are 10 Galgalim in Rakia. Right, connected the Esther spheres, the Asiya, right? Yud Kei Vav does not change anywhere. Nimtza, right, comes out. Now, of course, now we're talking about the name Yud Kei Vav Kei, and God is shining through a name Yud Kei Vav Kei, which shines through everything, right? So kind of Kiosis Brach B'Cholam Days Lapsus Basios Yud Kei Vav Kei, Outer Bosham shines, through. In every world, in every world and everywhere is mitzad, but like shines. I should say this. Maybe I should explain this for a second. Shines. Of course, God is everywhere equally because God is, not in space. The world, of course, doesn't even take up space. The Rebbe Shalom, for him, the world doesn't even exist. It's not real like he's real. Of course, he's. Atzmuso, of course, is everywhere. Space itself doesn't even exist for him, right? But then we're talking about something else over here. We're talking about that Yud Kei Vav Kei is in space. It's beyond space, but it's within space also. And that's through the name Yud Kei Vav Kei that the Rebbe Shalom for that. He Gufa, it's as if the world doesn't exist for him. Atu Shalom Nivram, Atu Mishin Nivram, there's no difference, right? The world doesn't, get in the way for him. It's not real to him, right? It's not real like he is, but he's also mislabish within the world. The Ilas Kol is through the name Yud Kei Vav Kei. So that's how Rebbe Shalom shines his Gilui and interfaces with the world everywhere through the name Yud Kei Vav Kei. Because brother, we say God doesn't change anywhere. Just say God doesn't change. B'chol asar choro does not, b'chol asar is like, you're alluding that there is the existence of places. So it just means right? Rebbe Shalom reigns over all equally. That's what they want to add. That God doesn't change, that's Pashat. God doesn't change, God doesn't dilute, but B'chol Makos is everywhere. God is equally everywhere. But it means, how, Rebbe Shalom's Hashgacha equally permeates everything. Mitzad, the name Yud Kei Vav Kei, that equally permeates everything. That's the Mahala, that's the framework of Rebbe Shalom's interaction with the Bria. We'll do one more. So it comes out that we learn. Shafilu ba'avir olam yimatzi laskos was out b'oisius. Baisias, Yud Kei Vav Kei, Shehu, V'Shmo Echad. So even in this world, right, anywhere, even the lowest world, God is here, B'chvodo Ba'atzmo, through the name Yud Kei Vav Kei. What does that mean? Again, meaning God is revealed here, meaning if you're spiritually sensitive, you'd see he's equal here as he is in heavens. You know, sometimes even Nevuah can't see it because the Nevuah will sense more Gilui there, more, but really in Pnimius, Gilui, I stress Gilui Lo Lamas is equal everywhere. God, Atzmus Yisbarach is revealed through the shame. The shame is the Gilui, everywhere equally. Everywhere equally, and even Nevuah may not be able to see this. How in Pnimius, Yud name Yud Kei Vav Kei, which is Gilui of Yisbarach. We're not talking about the Atzmus, that's of course everywhere, but the Gilui that represents the At, that is the representation. Shmo, his name that represents him, is everywhere equally, but it's Shmo of Ilas Kol Ilos. There's no two gods, right? We through the shame, we know that the shame is, represents the Ilas Kol Ilos, right? And so the shame, which represents him, is everywhere equally, right? And Shmo Echad, right? That's what I mean. Shmo Echad, because the name represents him. It's not representing anyone else. Represents him, but our shaychus is to the shame. That's the Gilui is the shame, and that shame is everywhere equally. Less asar poni minei from the shame, right? From the shame. Okay, and the shame is moira al baal Hashem. Vainu sheikra yira shamar Moshe Rabbeinu v'Shalom liras Hashem anechma v'anora azeh. So now the ikra of Yira Shemayim, which Moshe Rabbeinu talks about, liras Hashem, fear the name. Called Nikra B'Shmei, Kol Makom Asher Azkir Eshmi. That's the base of Mikdash. That's where you have a din of Meira Mikdash. Liras Hashem Anichbad V'Anor Hazeh. Es Havaya Elokecha. Fear this great, this honorable and awesome name. Havaya Elokecha. Loema Hazeh Ela B'Mor Betz Shavayim. Don't know is a Hazeh. Yira Hashem Anichbad Hazeh means there's Gilui. You could see it. You could point to it. Right? Gilui. All right, so Vata Bazeh Danu So Melokar. That's what it means. Melokar Arts Kavaydai. Right, the Baal Shem Tov didn't make it up. Okay, it's all first in desire. Right? Shapir Shabrai Memna Parsbo Parashuai Special Kusa Elyon. It refers that there's divinity everywhere. The name Yud Kei Vav Kei is everywhere. That God is everywhere is partial. We don't talk about that because for God it's as if the world doesn't even exist. Right, we're talking about mitzad. Even mitzad is chibur lo lamas, is interaction, which is shmo. Shmo is everywhere. Right, in Pnimius shmo is equally everywhere. Even though in the chitzonis it looks like, more natzilus, less than bria, less than yitzir, and even less than asiya. But that's mitzad. The chitzonis of the olamas. Mitzad Pnimius olamas. The name Yud Kei Vav Kei is mitpashet in everything. Bashva gemura. Right. The Baal Shem Tov didn't make this up. Okay, people think he did because they don't know his Makaris, right? There's a lot of problems. Whatever. Okay, don't get me started right now. All right, so the divine, the heavenly divinity is everywhere. So, Shoro, this is what the Zohar said. Lois Pashanori al Kol Berian, the Lois Pashanori al Kol Berian, because if God's light doesn't spread on all the creations, how will we know him? And how do you have a fulfillment of the puzzle? But Mokar's Kavoidai. Shmo Yisbarach is everywhere. Ritzona Yisbarach is everywhere. Right? But you understand the Chiddush over here, everywhere. It's Gilui. So it's within space, right? We're not talking about Atzmuso, that for Atzmuso it's as if the space is not even here, right? That's what it means. That's all the Baal Shem Tov meant, not like the fools think, the bozos, right? The terrible ivusim that Hasidim have fallen into because of Maratzas. Now, nothing about the real Talmidei Abesh. They knew where he was coming from. They understood where he was coming from. The problem is that Hasidus became a folksy movement, and the Amaratzim, kind of, hijacked the movement. But the terrorists were meant for the Mitsuyanim, and then were Hadrachas for the Hamonam, and then The boundaries got blurred, right? And kamakum la'arich. Okay. So just do one more. Because it's Amar Hashem said, Shivisi Havaya Lenegdi Torah. I put Yud Kei Vav Kei in front of me constantly. Right, that's also it's brought down in the Mishnah Berurah. Mash at the beginning, you should be Mekayim supposed envisioning the shame Yud Kei Vav Kei with certain likud constantly. Kichosh Yud Kei Vav Kei lefanav, we're thinking the shame of eyes in front of him. Some who Ilos Ilos Miyako, of course, he understands the name represents the Baal Hashem. Ilos Kol Ilos. That unites all, right? Because where did the shame come from? What holds the shame together, right? Of course, you said the name Yud Kei Vav Kei, which represents a Baal Hashem. Oh man, you said you realize that you immediately, oh God, you really have fear and you're ashamed to sin, and you're also tzanua because God is everywhere watching you, but not just but Mamish. The Ein Sof is everywhere watching you. Ein Sof, right? Shmo Yisborach, right? Shmo, Gematria Rotz. So when you are real with that, you are really nervous, right? And you never want to sin right in front of the king, right? That's right here in front of you. Right here. We're going to explain this. He's always going to double down even more. Oh, this is just the Vorspice. I keep on getting emails or WhatsApps. Is this a scary book? Let's find out. Okay, we are going to stop here for today.